Hello, everyone, and welcome to Purple Curtain Podcast. This is
This is
John,
Rusty.
and I think we're going to start off with a little bit of breaking news, which Rusty just sent me, which is that Kanagawa Saya has she been made a regular model for
Hooray.
the magazine
Yes.
Ray? So yeah, like this is really exciting because I think there wasn't a lot of buzz about her when she first joined the group, but she's been impressing people with her comedy, and now she's impressing magazine editors as well. So I think it's kind of emblematic about how fast fourth gen as a whole have risen.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a surprising choice for me, but I guess it makes some sense. She is quite lean and tall, I guess. Although
Yeah.
she isn't the most popular fourth gen, so definitely a bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, but I kind of feel as though her popularity's been picking up recently.
She's
I mean, maybe I'm just projecting because I want that to be true of all the members, but it feels that way to me.
I think she's like mid-high tier, so she's definitely not doing bad. It's just not the most popular member, which we would know would be the three fun trio and maybe plus a few others. But yeah.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. And I know you wanted to talk about which other members we think should be getting magazine jobs as well.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me to see the front trio get something. Maybe that's not quite the best criteria, like being popular, getting menu get official modeling, but I think in general, being a popular Nogi member gives you a pretty high chance of ending up in one. So it's a bit surprising to see Saya being the first one. I think she's the first one, right? In fourth gen to get an official modeling gig, but maybe
Yeah, as far as I know.
but maybe this is going to be the start of a trend again. You know, in the past, sometime when we start having Nogi girls becoming official model, it was a start of like a whole slew of news. So maybe after our breaking news, immediately after we end our podcast, they will announce that Saku is modeling for Nono or Kakiko's model.
Yeah, I saw some people I know talking about that, and I actually think that would be a really, really good fit as well.
Yeah, I think that'll work. I can see some other magazine working a bit fancier one. Nono is a bit more plain in its style. And there was Kaki in that. Which one was it again? That one's also fancier. The one that Asuka goes on a bit more often. But yeah, there's a few choices for different people. Ayame can also go on. She's pretty. How to describe this? Her shape's pretty model friendly, I think. So I can see Ayame going on a few.
Yeah, she's taller than you think, isn't she?
Yeah, she's tall and her head size is alright, I guess. Like she's not Manatsu.
Yeah, head size is very important apparently, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a be all or end all. But I mean, for example, if you're Manatsu, your head is gigantic. It might take away from the dress you're trying to showcase.
So, and also I would say that, I'd like to see Seda. I think she's got a good face for things like Nono, which are also about like makeup as well as about clothing.
Yeah, she got really good style. I mean, I might just be biased, but I feel like she would make a great model.
Yeah. So, yeah, like Yanshan is the first, and I kind of hope that some other fourth gen members follow in her wake. It'd be really good. Also, you just sent me a link to an article. I'm not sure what the methodology of this is or anything like that, but I know that essentially the takeaway from it is that they asked a bunch of people which female idol they'd like to see in dramas and films and stuff. And just Mayan is the winner by miles and miles.
Yeah.
Like I think I have no idea what the scale is here, but out of like 1,200 people I asked, 172 people said Mayan. and Sashihara Reno is in second place with just 39. So, I think like the whole article is sort of like saying, is Nogizaka going to be the wave of the future and sort of like wipe away the legacy of AKB members going on to do dramas? And it's kind of like, I think, at the very least, people want Mayan, even if they don't want anyone else. Although, I should point out that Ika-chan and Asuka are both rated very highly in this as well, as is Yoda.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a good way to measure public recognition. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me if these four right now are the current Nogi member that people are aware of the most right now. Also, this poll was unprompted, so they don't really list a bunch of people for you to choose from. They ask a question and people come up with the answer. So I think that makes my margin all the more impressive. And it also explains some kind of interesting appearance in this poll. Like they have Gaki in there, they have Dijang in there, they have Hidose Suzu in there. Like maybe you can count them as model in a broad sense, but if you count it in a narrow sense, they're kind of odd choice to see in here. But well, here they are, and I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel as though people like Gaki and Hirose Suzu being in there kind of makes me think that some people might not have actually listened to the question, but it's, like that's something that happens quite a lot in real life when you don't have a list of options to choose from.
True. Although I do think they are a bit more idol-y in their acting career, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's
like
true.
They're more, how to describe this? Like they're not, like if you think serious acting people, you wouldn't think Gaki or Suzu. Not saying they're not serious, of course, but they play a more of a like a protagonist that has a social character, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've only seen Gaki in one drama anyway, so.
Yeah, and she's really popular.
But yeah, this is really interesting news. I mean, it's partly news because it kind of seems as though people want to see more of Nogizaka members on TV and stuff. But I also think it's really big news because it's just, like we've been speculating like how interested are people in Maya. And it kind of feels as though, maybe people are as interested in her future career as we were hoping, basically.
Yeah, definitely would like to see more acting from Maya, and hopefully this poll boosts her chance to get more roles, basically. It's a bit unfortunate, but her movie, the smartphone one, didn't end up doing too well. But I mean, it's hard to figure out how much of it's due to the pandemic. So
I can't imagine anyone's going to do particularly well in the next year or so.
Yeah, the Asoka movie got delayed, so people are noticing the fact that things aren't doing as well as they should. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I think that the Japanese government's doesn't really seem to be on top of like taking decisive measures to
not at all
reduce the number of people who are being affected. But it kind of feels as though on an individual level, like more and more Japanese people are just deciding to not go out as much as humanly possible and to avoid social contact with other people as much as possible. Like people are just doing it anyway without the government telling to do it.
Yeah, I feel like there's there's more people taking it seriously, individual people taking it seriously than the central government, at least. There's some local level government that's starting to take it seriously, and the central government been less than helpful. They've been unhelpful, in fact, actively impeding local government from doing what they need to do. So grim.
I mean, sort of like moving on, because I kind of feel as though I feel like we've got opinions about it, but it's not what people are listening
Yes.
for. But yeah, I think long story short, like maybe we shouldn't expect much in the way of like big projects for members for the
Foreseeable future.
at the very least for like the next few months or so, at
Yes.
least.
It's actually been a joke
Um,
that Ma Yang won't be graduating anytime soon because we can't hold a graduation concert.
yeah, I genuinely have no idea what's going to happen there.
Maybe they should try. I don't know. I mean, this is not the most glorious setup, but imagine a concert that's themed. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. Can you sell online lives? Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can sell lives through Nico Video. I know that there definitely was like a paid broadcast of AKB's Sosenkyo several years ago, so I know it's technically possible, and I think given Mayan's popularity, they probably would make more money doing that in a small venue that was empty than just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Although I kind of think that the question is raised, like have they already spent a bunch of money on contracts?
Yeah. Also, it must feel pretty dispiriting to perform in an empty venue.
I kind of I feel like it would be, but I guess the question would be, is it any more dispiriting than just simply leaving without doing anything at all?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, like we've heard nothing about what's going to happen with Mayan's graduation, because I'm sure that pretty much everyone involved wanted there to be like a meaningful event. Because management wants to make money off Mayan graduating. And I think Mayan and pretty much all the members must want something to mark it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's possible. I kind of feel as though Mayan might even be willing to wait a couple of months more if there's the possibility of there being some kind of concert, but at the moment it looks like that just might not even be possible.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they had to do Nico, and people had to like do their calls through those floating comments.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with this.
Definitely.
Like how do they deal with this, and like will they even try to deal with it? Because maybe they just will have to accept that like Mayan will graduate with no fanfare, which would be weird, but like we're living in a very, very strange age.
Yeah, I hope they at least do something like what they did with the second Gen Live. Like,
yeah,
it was kind of weird to me, to be honest. It wasn't a full concert. Like they're throwing a lot of MV playing and talking, but it was something at least, right?
Yeah. So, like moving on from this, like I think one of the things that I know a lot of people were excited about was the debut of the remaining 4th Gen members who, have been on the bench for months and months for who knows what reason, but they're here now. So the 5 4th Gen members who have just joined are Kuromi Haruka, Sato Rika, Hayashi Yuruna, Matsuo Mio, and Yumiki Nao. So, yeah, have you got a favourite from these members? Or
I think I definitely prefer Kuromi Haruka at the moment.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing.
I mean, it's just to be superficial, I think she's the cutest of the new batch. She seems decently interesting too, although like always, I haven't exactly warmed up to the new folks yet, but I said the exact same thing about the 4th Gen. I said the real 4th Gen. I said the exact same thing about 3rd Gen, and I said the exact same thing about 2nd Gen way back, so I cannot be trusted.
So yeah, I think the only real introduction we've had to fourth gen is their appearance on Nogichu.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really talk that much about Nogichu, but maybe we will have to now because I think like Kuromi Haruka. I liked her introductory video.
Mm-hmm.
She's a big Bruce Lee nerd, which I think is a very original. Like a lot of idols sort of like join an idol group and are like a nerd and obsessive about something. But this is the first time I've ever heard of people being like Bruce Lee fans before they joined an idol group. So that's interesting.
I think she's kind of chaotic, although it might not be exactly her fault. Like in the Nogichu app, they introduced her, Manaz introduced her as knowing Cantonese, and then she proceeds to speak Mandarin. And then...
Yeah, so we're not sure whose fault this is.
I think it's probably Manaz's.
I think it might well be that Manatsu has just sort of like tried to be too clever and assumed that she speaks Cantonese because she was born in Hong Kong.
I think so. It fit her character.
I kind of feel as though Manatsu has just actually tried to be too clever here. But yeah, she might be able to speak Cantonese, but she was not speaking Cantonese on Nogichu.
Yeah. And besides that, as you mentioned, she's a big fan of Bruce Lee, and you expect her to learn kung fu or to learn what do you call that thing again? The two-hand thing. Yeah, the nunchuck. That's what he's most famous for, right? But no, she showcased her showmanship, but Bruce Lee didn't know showmanship, Like,
I feel as though I kind of vaguely remember Bruce Lee wielding a sword in a film for about 5 seconds or something, but
he's definitely not known for it, at least.
No, he's not known for it.
Yeah, and so yeah, the whole thing is a little bit chaotic. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just pretty funny, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, like I appreciate the chaos of many Nogizaka members. I was kind of thinking, she kind of reminds me ever so slightly of Ki-chan. Especially sort of like when she was displaying her swordsmanship. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, like Ki-chan's just unnerving ability to bend metal.
Well, I think she does have this happy vibe, like, being very, like, deceptively cheerful, I guess. Ki-chan has her serious part, but,
yeah.
Like, that's what I thought about Kakehashi too. Like, there's this sense that they're pretty outwardly cheerful, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Besides that, I saw a lot of people commenting that she looked like Gotolala, from SK.
Yeah, she does kind of. I think it's like they've got sort of like quite small facial features, and I think their skin tone is a little bit darker than usual for idols.
That's true.
Like they've both got those things in common, and they both spent time overseas. Like Kuromi Haruka is not mixed race like Asuka or someone like that. She's like Ika-chan. She was born in Hong Kong because her parents were working abroad, basically.
Yeah, she maybe that's the explain why she's darker than many others. Maybe not. I'm not sure how long she's been in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's also the fact that, I think like Japanese people are a little, I know that people in East Asia can be a bit obsessed with skin tone in general.
Yeah.
But the Japanese really are, and I kind of think that if you never sort of had that drilled into you as a child, you might care less. Because I know that a lot of Japanese idols sort of like are quite paranoid about staying out of the sun.
Yeah. Hopefully she's not affected by this sense of needing to have a white skin tone, because in Nogi there are several several members that have darker skin tone, and they're all.
I mean, it never seemed to hold Nanase back.
Yeah, and then there's Leika and Nanze. Although Nanze's not doing too well these days, but she's doing fine.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, she was the first person I wrote down on my list of members to talk about. But I also think she's both of our favourites, which kind of has unfortunately set the bar quite high for everyone else.
That's true.
The second name on my list is Sato Rika, who, I thought was interesting because I kind of feel as though she was the most sort of immediately visually arresting member, but I think, Kuromi Hanaka's probably cute. Is probably cuter than her when she talks, basically.
Yeah, I heard.
And also, I was kind of being driven mad because Sato Rika looks a little bit like Nagahama Neru, but she also reminded me quite strongly of another idol, and it was driving me mad. And I eventually realised that it's Yamada Suzu, the younger sister of Yamada Nana.
Oh.
Yeah, she really looks like a cross between the two of them.
Interesting, because I need to Google this Yamada Suzu.
Yeah, if everyone who's listening, if you go and Google Yamada Suzu, I'm pretty sure you'll all know what I'm talking about.
I did not know Yamada Nana have a sister in NMB.
Yeah, she's also an NMB.
I know there's other siblings. I don't know.
Yeah, because Jonashi K's younger sister is actually one of the more popular members now.
Yeah, that's she I recognize. I didn't know there's Yamada Nana's sister here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rika does look a little bit like her, although I can see why many think she look like Neru.
Yeah. I'm still not getting a particularly strong impression of what kind of persona she's going to go with.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's interesting that she looks very, very quiet in all the pictures. She's less like that when the camera's on her, which is quite good, I think.
Yeah, she's definitely the member on Twitter that's grabbing the most attention, I think, visually speaking at least. Which is funny because both of us happen to like Kuromi Haruka more, but Sato Rika seems to be more of a Twitter favorite.
Yeah. So, I don't know what she's gonna be like, but, it's still very early on. The third member is Hayashi Runa. And, I've got to say, it's quite nice to have just, a genuine weirdo in the group again. Because, Kotoko's graduating and somebody really needed to step in and fill the void. And Hayashi has just come right in there. I really, really liked her introductory video. Where she's sort of she's chasing after herself, and it's kind of it's. I mean, the metaphor's pretty obvious. But it's also it's a fun video to watch and everything. But the thing that strikes me, she's just got this. She's got this incredible sort of black hole energy to her.
Yeah, she's.
Where.
Yeah.
It's she's kind of passive to a degree where it sort of just sucks you in, which I think's quite funny.
Yeah, I agree. She seems I mean, I'm not sure it's fair, of course, but she seems more awkward, I don't know. And definitely darker. You were posting that picture of her completely in black the other day, which is unusual.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for the listeners, this is basically there's a photo of all the members backstage, and Hayashi is the only one dressed in black.
Yeah, it's pitch black, top to bottom, pretty much, which is pretty unusual. You expect a bit more variety when it comes to your clothing, but apparently not for Runa. Oh, I also think she has a cool name, actually. Her name is kind of unusual.
Yeah, yeah, it is
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah, and so we have someone who's a little bit awkward and maybe a little bit dark. I mean, she is 16. Maybe she's going through her rebellious phase uh,
Yeah,
into being a bit more.
as it gets translated into English, yeah, her rebellious
Yeah.
phase.
But maybe, maybe Asuka's releasing her dark energy and it got completely sucked in by her. So.
Yeah, her and Hori Miona.
uh, well, as as the thermodynamic law says, the energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah, like I want to see her interact with Hori Miona. Actually, I think it's going to be a really weird experience.
I can see it happening though. Miona is a socialite that interacts with everybody. Hmm.
Yeah. So the fourth member is Matsuo
Hmm.
Miu, who I didn't have like a very strong impression of, but I kind of, I think it's hard not to like her having seen her introduction.
She. Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I don't know what she's going to sort of like do in regards to her persona and how she sort of like tries to pull fans in.
Mhm.
But she seems like really really nice.
Mm.
That's never a bad thing.
Yeah, she's the member that was in the League 4th Gen video way back when 4th Gen was getting introduced. The
Right.
one where they're all kind of under a tree and the king kind of in their.
Oh, is she the missing member from that?
Yes, I
Okay.
think I think that's her. So okay. She's only 16, so I'm not sure why she left. I'm not sure that she have educational commitment. Usually, people who do take a
Yeah.
hiatus for educational commitment are trying to enter university, right? She's a bit too young for that. But yeah, she was that member, and she's back somehow, pulling a Manatsu.
Yeah. I also kind of think that like when I sort of saw her on Nogichu, I kind of thought that there was something that reminded me a little bit of Kaki in the sense that like she looks a lot nicer in person than she does in the photos of her. Do you know what I mean? Because like a lot of the sort of like early photos of Kaki didn't look that great,
Yeah, I feel like.
or like more like kind of like you couldn't sort of like feel the energy of the person the photo was of.
Hmm. Like I don't mention that Kaki didn't smile as much in her earlier photo, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of weird, eh?
Yeah, well, actually, if you look at all of Kaki's like official photos, she's grinning more and more in each of them until like in the most recent one, she finally actually looks like herself.
uh, that's kind of curious, eh?
So, and also like yeah, like she did a little bit of gymnastics at the end. It's just like spectacular. So,
Hmm.
I kind of hope that it'll show up in a concert at some point.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be a bit of a waste if it never did.
yeah. I mean, I think way back they did do it for Idonene. She did do a review backflip when she was Noki
Hmm.
during the live, so they can definitely do that again. And she's not alone, right? There's also Ray, like from original Probe Gen. So
Yeah.
it's totally possible we can have them both do backflip, and it can be put into a choreography, and it can be made to look really nice. So it's definitely something that has potential.
Yeah. So the final member we've got is Yumiki Now,
Hmm.
who Yumiki now has the incredible ability to look like Miniman, but only from one angle.
Hmm.
It's like she looks like Miniman, but only if you look at her exactly the right angle, and if she turns her head even like 15 degrees in either direction, she doesn't look like her anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Um, yeah, like kind of just when they sort of like listed off like her sort of like family history, I'm like she's one of 7 siblings. It's kind of like I don't know how you handle that.
Yeah, that's kind of incredible, eh?
Like, I mean, as parents, I'm not even sure how you manage that in the first place. Do you know what I
Yeah, no,
mean?
I know what you mean. And she despite having like 7 siblings and not being the oldest, I think she's not the oldest of the 7 siblings, right?
No.
But she's still like the oldest of their batch. She's 21 years old, which is, I mean, it's not that.
That's like my chin age, isn't it, for debut?
I think you're right, actually. My June debuted at pretty late, relatively speaking. So yeah, she's definitely more of an older sister among the newer folks.
I mean, one of the things that sort of like came out while she was talking about her family is the fact that it kind of seems as though, I think she's got 3 older brothers. But it seems as though all of her older brothers are still living in the family house.
Yeah, it's a big family.
And she sort of said that, like, her and her grandmother, like, not her and her mother, but her and her grandmother do all the cooking and stuff. And I'm just a little bit like, it almost feels as though she's actually the de facto head of the family in the house, which I think has some, like, interesting implications for, like, the dynamics of 4th gen. Like, is she going to end up being, like, the de facto captain of the little group that she's part of?
I think that's more likely than not. Not only because she seems like she's going to be up to a task, but also because the other ones do not seem to be up to a task.
Oh yeah. I would hate for any of those other members to be put in charge. Yeah.
They're either too chaotic or too emo or too young. Presently speaking.
Yeah, because Matsuo Miyu seems quite mature, but she's 16.
Yeah, I also feel like I don't know, maybe this is unfair. Maybe we don't know them enough, but she seems a little bit less confident relative to Yumiki now.
Yeah, I think Matsuo Miyu is just kind of like, like is very young and it's like her first appearance, so yeah, there's not much confidence there yet.
Yeah, and Yumiki now also.
But I mean, I think confidence can grow very fast. I mean, look at the way Sakura is now compared to when they debuted.
That's true.
Like very, 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 very big improvement there.
That's true.
And even like Peach Kid.
True. But...
I mean, Momoko, I don't think will ever sort of like be like truly confident, but she's made like amazing progress, really.
True.
Comparatively speaking.
I mean, Momoko, I think she's definitely good at most idol stuff now. Like, I'm talking about dancing, singing, going on a variety show, but I don't think we'll ever expect her to be a leader, right? So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's unfair to apply to Miyu, but, like relatively speaking, Yumiki now feels more likely to be in that role.
Yeah, so, like, we've only seen a very little bit of them, so we still don't know what their personas are going to be like, but, I'm hopeful about them.
Yeah.
But I'm particularly hopeful about Haruka. I kind of think that she could be a bit of a sort of, like, breakout dark horse, maybe.
And there's only 5 of them, so maybe that will give them a bit more spotlight. Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that I think in an ideal world they would have had 2 episodes for their introduction. But the problem is when you've only got 5 members, if you split it up into a episode with 3 members and then another one with 2, the balance is going to be really, really off.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like they dedicate that much time to new members who don't have much fans yet,
Yeah, so yeah, like like that's our take on them. I think we're just going to move on a little bit and talk about the B-sides for Shiawase no Hogoshoku. The first, I think the B-side which comes with every single type is Sayonara Stay With Me, which is a Yoda Center, I think.
I think so.
And the members we've got on this are Manatsu Ikchan, Asuka, Matsun, Kuboshi, Yoda, Sakura, and Kaki. And I think this is quite an interesting selection of members because to me this looks a little bit like the members they want to rely on a lot in the next year or so. Because, otherwise the selection seems a little bit random, doesn't it?
It does. I think that makes sense. It's a mishmash of members from each gen that are popular, but it's not quite like it's not a large selection. There's only like 8, I think. There's only 8 members here.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go a little bit tinfoil hat here. And sort of say, if you're kind of like looking at this as the members they want to push in the next year or so, because otherwise, I feel as though the selection makes no sense because there's no other like single thread that ties all these members together.
That's true.
What this might imply is that perhaps Kaz might not be around for that much longer, because you've got all the other sort of like veteran members like Manatsu Ika-chan and Matsun in there.
Yeah.
But Kaz isn't, so I think that's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I can see Kaz graduating relatively soon. I can see her just becoming a full-time offer.
Yeah.
But maybe one day she can direct a drama or a movie and she can pick her Loki cast and they're together again.
Yeah, like that's what I quite like to see. Is I'd like to see someday that there'll be like a trapezium film with Nanase in the lead role, because that's
that'd be quite nice.
Like this is something I wanted to talk about. Is like when I think Trapezium has had a reissue with some extras, and I think it's interesting that the two of the 4 characters on the cover, the main character whose illustration has already been done very, very strongly resembles Nishino Nanase. And it was funny because Kaz said that it was not intentional. She just described to the illustrator what her perfect idea of an idol would be like, and it just looks like Nanase.
It's subconscious.
The character next to her on the cover really just looks like Mayan. So I think that kind of like, her respect for them is kind of like working on a subconscious level as well as a conscious level.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I also kind of think that if you look at this, it's interesting. Firstly, that Kuboshi is in as like a major member for management.
Yeah.
Which I like. It also kind of means that like Zuki and Minamin not being in there is something interesting to think about as well.
I mean, Minamin isn't a surprise. Although she's a Twitter favorite, she's never been a management favorite in my opinion.
I kind of feel as though Minamin might end up being quite a lot like Misa. In terms of somebody who's like, always going to be selling out her handshakes. Someone who's always going to be, I think, if we're talking like 2 years from now, I think she probably will be in first row or, like a good position in the second row most of the time. But, like I can't ever see her getting into the front 3 or anything like that.
No, I think that's about right. I wouldn't say Misa cried. Misa was a bit unfortunate. Like, it was pretty dire of her situation where she's way more popular than what management gave her credit for. So I think Minamin is at least able to get some resource. I mean,
she's in Eizoken for a start,
and she's getting a decent amount of magazine shoot these days too, so she's not doing too bad. But I just don't think she's a management favorite, if you know what I mean. So I'm less surprised to see her here. I think what's more surprising is, if this really means anything, of course, is that Kuboshi is here while Mizuki is not. Because if you just look at the past few months, you would think Mizuki is the favorite relative to Kuboshi.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, we're already comparing members, so I actually think Zuki might end up being a bit like Mayan.
Mm.
Because Zuki could have been chosen for the double center that Yoda and Peach Kid got, and wasn't. And I kind of have always sort of for a little bit from that time onwards that management sees her as being very important, but they don't really favour her.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like at the time they pushed Momoko and Yoda, because she's just very popular. She was obviously very popular at the time, while Momoko was the management favorite. And usually I'm not a big fan of management just choosing someone and going with it, but I thought Momoko made a lot of sense. She was obviously the cutest one in my opinion among the Virgin batch. Like, I mean, right now I come to warm up to a lot of members. I find them prettier now, but I wasn't so impressed back then, and I thought Momoko was obviously the cutest one among the batch, so pushing her makes sense. And she was decently interesting on variety. But it turned out it doesn't really. I mean, I wouldn't say the push didn't really work. I feel like she is more popular than she would have been if she was not pushed. But she's definitely not the most popular member. So she's not here, right? I think that's
Yeah.
that shows that management is not intending to go all in with this push, which I think is fair. I mean, maybe a bit unfortunate, but fair.
What I'd say is I kind of feel as though management always liked Kuboshi, which I think is fair enough. I kind of think that they backed off a little bit around the time she felt she needed to take some time off. But if they decided to commit to her again, it wouldn't be massively surprising to me.
I think
I mean, I think they've always liked her, and I can see why. Like, I understand why. Like, I don't think it's completely unwarranted or anything.
I'm not sure. I share their sense that management particularly like her, but if they do, I think that's something that everyone can get behind with. Often push can be controversial. I don't think a Kuboshi push would be controversial at all. She's very likable. She's very talented. She can sing. She's one of those She's one of the three that Ikujan chose for her rendition of Hakumai-sama, which was fabulous. She's a Nogi Roda. She loved Nogi. So
yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is that management has always liked the kind of like Ojo-sama image. Even when the members didn't actually really fit in with it, and a lot of it was sort of like surface level, I kind of feel as though management has always kind of liked that. And again with Kubo, I actually have no real idea what Kuboshi's family circumstances are like, but she kind of looks like the image that people have of the group.
I think that's true.
Which I think might be helpful.
I think that's true, yeah. They might want to find her a better magazine, though.
Yeah.
17 isn't really utilizing her too well.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's kind of like interesting to look at these members and sort of like, like use either your crystal ball or your tinfoil hat. I don't know which one it is yet. But I mean, obviously, when it comes to Sakura and Kaki being chosen, but Ayame not, I think it's just down to work pressure on the younger member, basically.
No,
I think that's all. I think that's all it is.
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. Ayame's only 14; she has a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things which I think Nogizaka is a little bit better for than other idol groups is they don't tend to go all in and very heavily push members who are under about 18 or so. They sort of leave it for later because I mean, kind of like look at the attention on Asuka now compared to when she joined.
Mhm.
I mean, they could have gone it all in for Asuka right at the beginning, but they chose not to.
Well, I feel like they also kind of. I mean, Ikoma wasn't young, but you know, the first trio they pushed was Ikoma, Ikuchan, and Asuka. They were relatively younger than
Yeah,
Gosanke, and it didn't really work. So maybe they kind of realized they shouldn't do that.
yeah, and Minami,
Yeah, Minami.
Minami a bit as well.
Like Nogi, I mean, I feel like this is kind of true in general. I know there's this idea that people like 48 groups, for example, where they feel like they like younger people is all lolicon and that kind of stuff, which is kind of funny because if you look at the Soul Sankyo result, it's usually the opposite that's true. Like, it's the older member that
Yeah.
always dominate the Soul Sankyo result.
I
And I
also
think
kinda
in Nogi,
think
I
it's
think that's even more. Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that
Hello? Yeah.
I think that plays a big part, but I also think that age seems to matter a lot more in Nogi compared to like which generation you're from.
Mm.
Like it seems that they kind of it's not just that you'll get pushed more if you're a first gen, you'll also get pushed more if you're older as well.
Mm. Yeah, I think what I was trying to say is that it's already generally true that older member actually do better than younger member. It's not actually their perception.
Yeah.
That's true, but I think in Nogi's never.
Yeah, but what I'm sort of saying is that I kind of feel as though, you know, like to management, what you've just said is true, but also which generation you're from is less important as well.
Mm.
Like they're not gonna push someone just because she's a first gen if they're not old enough. I mean, now it barely matters because all the first gen are kind of like, you know, like they're all over 20 now, aren't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's stopped being in any way relevant. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think, I guess I'm just saying. I think that's also something that is influenced by fan preference. Like it's generally the older member that get popular first, so eventually they kind of calibrate themselves to favoring the older members because that's the one that those are the members that are successful.
Yeah. So going back to the single though,
Mm-hmm.
no, not the single, the B-side Sayonara Stay With Me. I really like this song.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of seen people suggest it might have made a better A-side, but I think it's a better song than the A-side, but I also kind of feel as though it feels very much like a B-side. It's a really, really good B-side, but it feels like one.
I think
So I don't think you could have like taken this out and made it the A-side instead or anything like that.
I agree the song sounds really B-side. Like I think the problem was that the A-side is like the problem is the A-side is so weak that almost every B-side is better than it.
I mean, we might get into that a little bit later, but I really like. Well, let's just say I really like this B-side.
Okay.
But also, like, it's got. I kind of feel as though sometimes a lot of the recent Nogizaka songs, and it's not just the single, it's not just the A-side, it's also the B-side, feel a little bit disjointed. This one really flows together very nicely.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel too short or too long or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel as though the sort of like the verse and choruses don't sort of like slot together nicely. Yeah, I think it's really good. And we've also got some quite good vocal performances on there as well.
Yeah, it's a good B-side. It's also one of the only B-side. Yeah, it's the only B-side without the MV, interesting enough. Although it is their theme song for a commercial. I think it's the gum one. So maybe they could release something there. But yeah.
Right, okay.
But yeah, it's a good song. I would like to see something more from it. Yeah.
So moving on, we've got Jane, which is Mayan's graduation single.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm not into it. I feel bad because you know, like, but you know, Mayan's meant a lot to me, but like the A side's not good, and I don't really like this as a song either. I think it's actually. I think looking at like I quite like the lyrics, which Mayan wrote. You know, like that. You know, like it's good. But I also kind of think that it's hard not to. It's hard not to compare it to Haji Madoka, which was yeah, like Madoka's graduation single. It's like another song that was written by her about her feelings about being an idol, and it's they're both long. They're both very long songs. But Haji Madoka is just a much better song musically. You can't really get around it, unfortunately. I also kind of like the video as well. I think is like the archive footage is really really good. But the problem is like what you've got is you've got the shots of the archive footage. You've got the shots of Mayan, and you've got the shots of the young girl who is an obsessive Mayan fan. And all those things kind of like would work individually, but they don't really slot together in any meaningful way. Which I think is kind of like quite disappointing because there's not a lot of resolution for the girl's story and the Mayan story together, unfortunately.
They should have shown.
I mean, I did like watching it because it is nice to see all the archive footage, but
yeah, it's interesting that the girl never showed her face too. I think, right? Maybe if she showed her face, we'll see that she's Aoi and she's now an idol too. Actually, I on a more serious note, I actually like the song. I think I warm up to it.
Okay, I guess it's just different taste then, isn't it?
I mean, no, I think it's not as popular as the other B-side, and I feel like maybe your perception of it is closer to what most people think, because I don't think it's particularly doing well when it comes to views on YouTube.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just not a ballad fan in the first place.
I wouldn't say.
So
I wouldn't say that.
So you know, like I don't know. So I don't know whether really. Like I kind of feel stylistically, I'm just not into it in the first place. So I might not be the best person to judge how good it is. Do you know what I mean?
I feel what I mean, but I'm sure there's ballad you like more than this one, right?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, you know.
Okay, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the song the reception is more akin to what you express than what I feel, so I don't think it's unfair. I think maybe just take a bit more listening, but I thought it was okay. I think it was a decent graduation solo. It's although graduation solo usually are good, so in my opinion, I mean they're usually not my kind of song too. I'm not that into ballad actually. I like more cheerful song in general, but I thought it was a good ballad.
Yeah, like actually, I mean, this is one very very obvious point which I missed, which I actually think Mayuen's vocal performance is pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm sure we all appreciate her writing her own lyric for finally. Like, Maya have been asking for that for a long time, so it's good that she finally got to do that, and hopefully she'll get to do that more. But yeah, that's something I'm sure we all appreciate, and I think we can all agree the lyric is decent. It's not too bad, and hopefully it's something that we'll see more
of. So the next song is Anastasia, which is the second gen song. With I kind of like on a personal level, you know, like Hori is a member I'm very very fond of, but I do wish that they could have a second gen song with somebody else's center.
Yeah, that'd be nice, eh?
That's just a little side note there. I kind of feel as though I felt a bit weird while listening to this song because I think that the first time the chorus kicks in, it's got a lot of impact and it's got a lot of presence, but the second and third choruses, I'm just a little bit like, yeah, it's completely. It feels reduced each and every time they go back to it. Like this song is too long. Like I know that that's like I know that's a very personal opinion, but I think this song is much too long. If it was 3 minutes, I think it would be great. But I think every time they return to the chorus, it becomes less and less impactful.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't think it's as impactful as it could have been. I definitely think it's unfortunately a weaker B-side among the 4-5 B-side we have this time. So,
I mean, especially second gen B-sides tend to be really good. So
that's true. I mean,
or at least that's just that's just my opinion. Anyway.
Actually, I can say that. I think they have it's hit or miss. I think some of them are atrocious, but some of them are great. So this one's kind of far in between, I think.
Yeah, it's just I do think that the running time being too long is kind of a quite common flaw in idol music, actually. I think quite a lot of them sort of feel as though you could probably almost cut the songs in half when it comes to the running time, really.
Yeah.
I feel as though sometimes idol music composers are kind of like very like stiff when it comes to the idea of like changing the normal makeup of songs. Which is, like actually one of the reasons why I like Scoutman so much. Like the structure of that song is quite weird, and it's short.
No, I think that makes sense. This is not exactly applicable, but I've been looking up some writing tips these days, and one of them is that you really want to make your sentence, your prose economical, and I think that kind of applies to the song as well. Like, you want to have focus, you want to be clear, and you don't want to be unnecessarily wordy about it. And maybe Anastasia could have used a bit of a trimming.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I'd say is that I listen to quite a lot of music where the running time of the tracks can sort of like run, like well over 10 minutes. And the thing is, though, is if you're going to do that, you need to be doing something interesting with a strong song structure. Because you can't have, like, a song that lasts for 12 minutes that has, like, I don't know, 10 verses and 10 choruses. Like, that's not really going to be listenable. Anyway, I know I'm starting to sort of, like, stray into extreme examples now, but that was kind of like what I felt while I was listening to the song.
Yeah, no worries.
The next song is Mainichi Brand New Day, which is by Third Gens with Kuboshi Center. So, I think we've been talking a little bit about Kuboshi's restoration in the last couple of episodes, and this is just another part of that. My feelings about the song are that it's quite unusual because I much prefer the verse to the chorus, which is something that almost never happens in idol music. Like, I don't think the chorus is that strong, but I kind of feel as though the sort of like doo-wop-esque vibes of the verse are really, really good.
Yeah, it's a pretty lighthearted song, I think. It reminds me of Tender Days, which I think it's casual, right? I feel like it's a great song if you're like taking a morning stroll down the road and there's bird chirping on the side. That's the kind of song you play. Like, it's it's an appealing song. I mean, especially if you're looking for something that's a bit more casual, a bit more a walk down a park kind of song. I think that's what this song's doing.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I'd say is, I've sort of like frequently returned to the idea of cultism in Nogizaka's videos over and over again. I think much to the confusion of the people who are listening, but I can see it again here as well. Like, they seem like a 60s hippie cult which is about to go badly wrong.
That's an interesting premise for drama or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Kubo playing a character like that, like the protagonist of a hippie cult that went horribly wrong. I think Miura will pop out in the middle of the way and scare people. Like, I don't know. I can see that work.
Miyanos are always coming up to scare people.
Yeah.
So, what did you like this one?
I like it. I think it's not my favorite, but it's like a casual favorite, I guess. Like it's something I can enjoy while just doing my things. It's cheerful, it's lighthearted, but it's not something I would actively look out to play, I think.
Yeah, I think I quite like it. I just kind of get the feeling that if they'd been able to put a stronger chorus together, it would have been a really, really outstanding track. So I kind of feel like it's more like it was good enough that it was disappointing.
Like there's a potential to be better, but it wasn't quite there.
Yeah. So the next song up is I See, which is the fourth generation single with Khaki Center, which I was very, very loud and enthusiastic about. I also like there's cultism in this one as well. Like all the people with the veils covering their faces, like that's some trademark cult stuff. It's like they go around sort of like highlighting the importance of like various people in society who feel neglected, and all of a sudden they're on a pedestal because of the veiled figures coming off them. Yeah, some classic cultism in there.
Yeah.
The song is I can't tell if I love it or hate it. I honestly can't.
I love it.
Like it's so. I can't tell if I love it or hate it, but I do appreciate just how extreme it is. Like that's always good, like I'm at least impressed by that, if nothing else.
I feel like it's a quintessential idol music with all the whoa whoa and yeah.
Yeah, one thing I bring up is kind of I saw people compare it to, I think they said SMAP.
Yes.
Now I have never heard SMAP, so I have no idea whether this is true or not.
I can tell you it's absolutely true.
Yeah, so that's cool, and it's also interesting because I think it's interesting that this song is apparently like so sonically similar to something that was made by a male idol group. Apparently, I don't know. Again, like I'm just going by what other people say.
No,
I
it's
don't listen
true.
to SMAP.
No, it's true. I listened to SMAP song before, so once I seen people mention that and bring up that comparison, I was like, yeah, that's totally right. And in fact, I see it's doing really well. It might surpass Shiawase no Hogoshoku for.
Oh, in the YouTube views.
It might surpass it because I think partly because of the hype generated by their SMAP comparison.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's doing really well. It's like definitely the most successful song this time around, relatively speaking. It's also really cheerful. Like, I don't know, I enjoy seeing fourth gen there enjoying themselves in such a cheerful manner.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I kind of, like I said, I'm not completely sure how I feel about this song, and it might take a couple more listens for me to actually make my mind up.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But I would say that I would much rather hear them make this kind of music than music like the A-side. Like, I can't lie, like this is, like, I feel like, especially because just like, like Nogizaka are a pop group, and I want to hear them make pop music. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
And it's also kind of like this might be, if what you just said is true, like this could be a really big boost for Kaki as well, like personally.
Yeah, there's a reason I chose Kaki to push, right? There, you mentioned cult, and sure, this is a cult, but it's a good cult.
Yeah.
Like, she's the only one that can censor after Mariang. Like, no, this beer man.
And also leather jackets. Issue all the members of the leather jacket as well.
Yeah.
They look cool.
And she can pull it off actually. Interesting enough.
So the final song is Fantastic Sanshokupan by the Eizo Kenkai cast. So it's by Asuka, Zuki and Minimin. And this song rules. I love this song.
It's good. Yeah, it's great.
Like, I finally found like a copy of it on YouTube, and I just sort of like probably listened to it 20 times in the last couple of days. No, this song rules. Like Sayonara Stay With Me. You know, like I kind of feel as though it's completely unsuited to A-side material. Like in the way that I kind of felt that I See is a possible A-side. Do you know what I mean? And this song isn't. But it was really, really, I love it, and it's cool to see them do this kind of song. Because like this song and Toki Toki Meki Meki is like a very rare kind of outing for this kind of song from Nogizaka, so I really liked hearing it.
Yeah.
And also like some kind of like good vocal performances as well on it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the delay of the Azoka movie, which I think is fair, the saddest part about it is that we don't get to see the song. I mean, there might be a music video kind of thing with the song, right? Since it's for the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I couldn't find a video of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the saddest part about today. Because yeah, as you said.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to wait for a concert in like 2022 to actually see them performing it.
That'd be so sad. Yeah, let's do a Nico live. Let's have all these new songs perform in that thing.
So how did you? I don't know whether you're as enthusiastic about this as I am, but how did you feel about it?
I think I share the same enthusiasm for I See instead.
Right. Okay.
But I like the song a lot too.
That's cool.
I like the song a lot. It's definitely something I would like to see a music video of. That's why I mentioned the movie. I would like to see something for it. I feel like you know, it's the Azokan trio. It's going to be very fun to see them do something with it.
Okay, so talking about Azokan, I finally found somebody's translation of it. You know, like I watched it because I don't really enjoy watching dramas without the subtitles because I kind of feel as that it takes away, like the mental effort of having to sort of like translate everything in my brain just takes away the immersion of it, basically.
That's fair.
You know, so I think I'll say I actually think they did quite a good job given the difficulty of translating this material into live action. Like this, I watched it on a 720p stream, so the CGI looks pretty good for that, for a TV show on that. I'm not sure how good it would be if you were watching it in high resolution.
It looks pretty.
You know, like, and I like the sort of like projected line drawings as well, like during Asakusa's like Imagine sections. And I also think what they did was I think they made quite good use of Asakusa sketching. Because that's something which is, you know, like it's free, you know, like you don't need to pay for CGI for that. And you can also show the parts of the creative process which are so important for the manga and the anime in a sort of like form that's not going to be horrifically expensive, but you can still see the kind of like thought process and emotion of the character there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I think the baseball section was completely superfluous. They should have cut it. I don't know what the deal with that was.
I'm guessing, I'm not sure, maybe they're just wasting time, but maybe there's something down the line that would tie into their...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think they did as good a job as they can with the resource limitation.
It's like the source material is very, very hard to make into live action, I think. And I think they did quite a good job given the degree of difficulty it has.
Yeah, the source material is deceptively difficult to make. If you haven't watched it, of course. I mean, if you haven't watched it, you might see just 3 middle school, high school girl and know that it's about them trying to make anime, so you wouldn't necessarily think it would be particularly hard, but it's actually a very creative work, and inside there's a lot of imagination thrown in, and even their background, the school, the town they're setting is quite bizarre. So it's not an easy work to translate into real life, actually, despite the fact that the setting might sound a bit plain. So yes, I agree they transitioned it into real life as well as they could with what resource they have. Another thing that I think should be noted is that they filmed this at the same time as the anime, like they're
Yeah,
both made at the same time, but they released the anime first, and now the anime blew up. Um, I'm thinking if the sequence of it was different, maybe they have more resource even. Like they have even more resource to dedicate to their filming, and they have even better CGI, they have even better special effects, and better
yeah,
like prop. But considering that they might not have as much resource at their disposal as they could have been, since we know it blew up now. Um, it's pretty good. I think they make some change as they need to their plots, and it worked out. It worked out.
yeah. Because I think this is one thing that this is something that I see quite a lot in terms of like people discussing live action adaptations of manga.
Uh-huh.
Is that I think a lot of people say that like story changes are unnecessary,
Mm.
but I also feel as though if you just take what's on the page and then try and make it real,
Mm.
it will always feel fundamentally flat and lifeless.
Mm.
I feel like you need to take some kind of artistic license with the plot line of a story, or else it just won't work as a live action
Mm-hmm.
TV series. Like it just can't,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So like there are a lot of like detail changes all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of feel as though what's expressed in the first episode of this and what's expressed in the first episode of the anime are the same, basically.
Uh,
It's kind of like like frustrated artistic people like come and get together to make something,
and a capitalist.
and that's the most important thing.
Mm.
Like talking about the members' performances, I think, like as you said, unfortunately, like these, like this TV series and the anime were made at the same time. So what we've ended up with is some like radically different interpretations of the original manga characters, which I think people are kind of forgetting because, like Saito Asuka didn't look at the anime and then come up with her interpretation of the character. She looks at the manga and then came up with. So what we've got is her interpretation of Asakusa and the anime voice actors' interpretation are quite far apart. But I feel like they both actually work really well. I think like Asuka's performance is really, really good.
Yeah.
I think she's sort of like taken. I think she's taken like the essence of the character and sort of translated it really, really well. I think the obvious thing is her voice and the anime voice actor's voice are very, very different. I don't think that matters. Because I think what she's done is she's taken an awkward weirdo and she's made that into a live action awkward weirdo, and I think that's fine, even though it's very, very different.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to raise. I was going to raise it if you haven't, that since they're both made at the same time, Asuka did not get to see their anime interpretation of Asakusa. Like, she had to.
Which I think is good, because I think that the best that could have come out of that would be that she'd be doing a bad impression of the voice actor.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's refreshing to see her doing her own interpretation, and the same can kind of be applied to a lesser degree to the other two as well. But it's mostly Asakusa, mostly Asuka, because it's more radical difference. And like their anime Asakusa is a bit, I don't know, goblin-like, if you know what I mean. Like like it's not saying she's not adorable, but she's cute in a weird way, whereas Asuka's Asakusa is a bit more cotton candy street, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, she's still very awkward though.
Yeah, she's awkward,
really
but she's awkward in a cute little sister kind of way, if you know what I mean. Like,
and I think it's interesting that sort of like in the live action she's got people sort of like crowding around her.
yeah, I mean,
Like they sort of like want to take her home or something.
Yeah, it's interesting
Um,
because their anime and probably manga Asakusa isn't as attention grabbing, I guess. But wow, I don't know. Maybe their live adaptation is reflecting the fact that this Asakusa is just so adorable in person.
mm,
Yeah, and also a thing I think is interesting is that Asuka's playing her in a more streeter voice, if you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
Asuka don't talk like that. So it's interesting how she.
I think it's interesting because what I think we've actually got here is we've got a case where like Asuka looked at this character and thought, "Isn't she adorable?" And that's what she's gone with in her portrayal of it.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is fair, and I'm sure not director, the manga author approved because apparently he chose a cast. Yeah,
Huh.
like which I guess makes sense. I mean, Mitsuki.
I mean, like he's been very pro the live action since it sort of like started getting since its PR started. He's been very positive about it.
Yeah, which I mean, there's some people guessing he's a fan before everything even. So, but I don't know how much truth there is to that. But he's definitely supportive of Nogi in playing their live adaptation.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Talking about the other two, I think like Zuki is actually probably the best actor of the three in
I
general,
agree. Hmm.
which is why I think she sort of like does quite well with like a 'cause neutral characters are hard to play.
Mm.
It's very hard to play a neutral character and sort of like give them some kind of interest in life,
Yeah.
basically. Um, and yeah, like I think she does well.
Yeah, I think her character is a bit harder to play because she stands out less, which is ironic because she's the model of the three. But Asaku's.
Yeah, that's what I mean is kind of like there's not like a specific hook where you can like emphasize one thing. People will say, yeah, that's what the character
Yes,
is.
I agree because Asakusa and Kanamori are both they stand out a lot. They have very strong character. Whereas Mitsuzaki is a bit more normal actually, which is ironic, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of think like like thinking about Minimum playing Kanamori, I think I kind of thought as I started watching it, I thought her portrayal of Kanamori doesn't have enough impact.
I think so.
But as I watched through, I kind of started to think it's not just her though. I kind of feel as though so far in the live action, like Kanamori is kind of like her importance has kind of been toned down in the live action overall. Like she doesn't say that much,
Yeah.
and she doesn't do that
I
much.
think that's true.
And I kind of think that there's a bit of a sort of like directorial and production issue here because like the character who's considered to be like the sort of star of the cast by like manga and anime fans kind of isn't having that much to do so far.
I think to be fair, it picks up in the second ep, which I already watched.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
I've only watched the first episode.
But I think that's fair, and I think part of it is simply because they do want to emphasize Asuka, like not Asakusa, Asuka.
Yeah.
Since Asuka is the most popular of the three, and I think that's partly at play here. But yeah, I feel like Minami could have played Kanamori a bit more meaner, a bit more colder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it kind of feels as though like I feel as though the way she's playing it is she's taken the laconic aspects of the character as opposed to the antagonistic aspects of the character.
Yeah.
And she's played that up.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel as though this might have been because there's just not that much of her in the script, really.
True, and
again, I'm talking about the first episode because that's the only one I've seen so far. Maybe it does change a little bit in the second one, but I kind of like if you don't have that much literal material to work with, if you don't have that many lines, it's kind of hard to see how you can, get the charisma of this character.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help that, that like we said, Rebecca, the anime, they didn't have anime to watch, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one of the things is like the anime voice actor's performance of it is one of the most extreme ones I've ever heard, which is great, but it also means that it's kind of almost impossible not to have that fixed in your head because it's so extreme.
yeah, like I didn't read the manga, but I imagine, it's not so obvious that Asakusa or Kanamori will perform in certain way just by reading the manga relative to watching their anime, right?
Yeah.
So,
Because, like, I've read a little bit of the manga, and I kind of feel as though, like, manga Kanamori is a little bit more snide and less antagonistic, which is why I kind of understand what Miniman's doing.
Yeah.
But I also kind of feel as though it's something which you need more material for it to come off.
And yeah, in the second ep there is a bit more space for her, so
right,
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's she's definitely a bit weaker than the other two right now, I say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's fair enough, but I also kind of feel as though she's also suffering a little bit from this strange situation where her character is the star of the two previous versions of it, but it isn't in this case.
Yeah.
And that sort of like creates a gap which is quite hard to fill.
No, that's true.
But yeah, I mean that's my personal feelings about Eizouken. We were going to talk a little bit about the two live action series which 4th gen were involved in. So that is Samu no Koto and Saru Niao. I've watched the first episode of Saru Niao, which has been translated by someone. And yeah, I like it. I think it's. I still have no idea where the story's going, and so far the story is about 3 high school friends who kind of like. It seems to be to a large extent about the social pressure faced by people who are growing up, and still just kind of like can't quite come to grips not just with society's expectations of them, but possibly society's unfair expectations of people at that age. And like I think overall, like the acting's good. I don't really know whether I can say. I mean, I could sort of talk about Eizouken a little bit because I know where the story goes, basically. So I can sort of like say, is this a good adaptation of this story so far? But I can't really tell where this series is going. But yeah, like I think all the members did well in it. And I'm sort of looking forward to seeing the next episode.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I can't really say anything about Sam no Koto, even though I think it had quite a big impact on a lot of people on Twitter because I think the Mandarin subtitles came out quite swiftly for it. I think the English ones did as well. I just completely missed them. So I haven't seen it at all.
I see.
So basically, it's just like, what were your impressions of it? Because I've got nothing to add at all.
No worries. I didn't watch the other one, so I couldn't say anything about that one. But I think these two drama are the most serious drama Noki have played so far. They're by an author called Nishi Kanako, and they're best-selling in Japan apparently. And yeah, like you said, I think they talk about some social issue. There's some sociology involved, and it's a more in-depth work. And I like it. I appreciate it. I think it's a bit more serious, but it's not like too serious.
I think,
if you know what I mean.
It's very, very unusual for an idol show to actually set out with the intention of being good. like basically they always set out with the sort of like intention of being, like cheesy but watchable.
Yeah.
Whereas these ones seem to be like trying to be good, which is a very, very unusual step for somebody making an idol drama to actually sort of like think, like this can just be a good TV show.
Yeah, that's kind of true. This is a more serious attempt, I think, and I appreciate it. I mean, cheese is it's okay, I guess. I mean, I always want a bit more serious work, and finally got more serious work in these two. Samurai Koto is interesting. There's 4 real ep. I mean, there's 2 making of thing, which is worth a watch too. But in the 4 serious ep, each of their I would say side character, they're all important, but there are 4 characters besides Samu, which is Saku, each take turn to play their main character pretty much. Like the story is narrated and progress from their viewpoints, and it involves usually how Samu and them interacted in the past, and they learn a bit more about their past and about Samu's part in it. It's very well done in many ways because not only do we get to have a more incredible screen time for each member, and it's a nice way to put a story together. It's a story with some mystery, with some depth to it, and yeah, I like.
Yeah, I like the idea of the structure when it was explained to me. Like that is a good way of making a TV show.
It is. Not just spoil, so I'll just talk about the acting of it, I guess. I feel like Sakura and Seijan did a really good job portraying their character. I say that because I feel like the character they portrayed, it's most radically different from their own personality, but they also managed to make it quite believable.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 3, the character they portray feels a bit more like themselves. Maybe it's just a character they portray happen to be more like themselves, so you couldn't really help with that, but maybe not. I feel like the other 2 are better at acting than the other 3, which is not...
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I also kind of feel as though in Saru Niao, Yuri is not a major character. Which makes me think that maybe she wasn't quite as good as the other 3.
Yeah. In Samurai Koto, Ayamen and Yakubo also made a short appearance. Especially Yakubo,
Yeah.
she only appeared for a bit. And
I mean, I kind of feel as though Yakubo's like the energy of Yakubo's persona is so incredibly strong. I kind of feel like it might be hard for her to be a good actor. Basically, like she's so much herself.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, maybe it's true. I mean, maybe it's popularity based. We don't know. That's
maybe it's popularity based as well.
Maybe, but I think what you said, I can see that being true too. So I mean, I'm sure there's casting, right? Because
the other thing I'd say though as well is Yuri might actually have a smaller role because, I mean, this was made in a time when she wasn't around very much.
Yeah, that's possible.
So there's that as well.
Yeah, I think despite what I said that Sakura and Seijan was better than the other 3, they all did a decently good job. So I do think it's possible they did some auditioning and try to make sure each character, each role fit each other. And and Mio might have just had lost out because Mio's too much of herself, too much like herself. I can see that being true. But yeah, I think it was a good drama. It definitely caught our eye. I heard there's people like in Japan that were impressed, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I'm really looking forward to watching it actually.
Yeah, it will be interesting for you to see mean Sakura.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a plausible reality, does it? But I'm looking forward to seeing that because I don't think we'll ever really get to see that in real life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, like I've talked about all the things I had planned for this episode. Have you got anything left you want to talk about?
Not really, except for the fact that I really want to ask Minamin how she feel about choking her senpai.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that's gonna be weird because she's such a sort of like polite person in real life. Like I kind of feel as though mentally it must have been quite a strain for her.
There's a lot of joke about how Yoda feels avenged.
So yeah, it's goodbye from me,
And from
John.
me, Rusty.